So the beta for version 2.8 of Zenless just started in CN, and with that we have some information about a new addition to the game, which is the win element. Win seems to be focused around anomaly damage. So to explain how the win anomaly works, when you trigger a win anomaly, it will apply a win debuff to an enemy, which increases direct win anomaly damage taken. When you either And when you trigger other anomaly on enemies already affected by that win debuff, it will also increase direct anomaly damage taken to that element. When you either trigger win anomaly on enemy already affected by other anomaly, or when you trigger other anomaly on enemies already affected by the win anomaly, it will cause turbulence, which deals additional damage. Now, a lot of people have the impression that turbulence is just disorder with a new coat of paint, but I think it's a little bit different that turbulence will not remove the wind debuff. Now, there are three reasons why I think that. First is the wording, okay? It is stated here that when you trigger other anomaly on enemies already affected by wind debuff, it will also increase direct anomaly damage to that element, which means the wind debuff will stay on the enemy unlike when you trigger disorder. For example, we have physical and ice anomaly. Physical apply a daze debuff and ice anomaly apply a crit damage debuff, but when you trigger disorder, only one of those debuffs will stay on the enemy. So that's the first reason. The second reason lies in Promea's kit. Whenever Promea's trigger a bloom on an enemy affected by wind debuff, she will do a special turbulence damage. Think of it similar to polarity disorder. For this part of her kit to be in effect, the enemy needs to have wind debuff whenever Promea trigger a bloom. However, Promea is not a wind anomaly agent. She's actually ice anomaly agent. And not only that, she also has a core passive fairly similar to Alice's core passive, which increases her anomaly proficiency based on her anomaly mastery. This means Promea will be building a lot of anomaly mastery, which will cause her to proc a lot of ice anomaly. So if the wind debuff is removed, similarly to disorder, the extra damage part of her bloom would not proc very often. Now, for the last reason, it is a little bit more speculative because it is based on my impression of the current anomaly meta situation right now. So currently, we have three decent anomaly teams. Mono Eyes, or Yuzu Eyes for that matter, Alice, and then the Angel team. Neither of these teams utilize disorder in the traditional way, which is quickly proccing anomaly of two different elements. I think the dev also realized that the way endgame shielding is being done right now in Zenless is way too detrimental to have an anomaly team with two different elements proccing disorder. The reason why the three teams I mentioned earlier can do well in endgame is because they are affected less by the shielding. For Mono Ice, both Miyabi and Sokawa do Ice Anomaly, despite Miyabi doing a special Ice Anomaly which allows the team to proc Disorder. As long as the endgame enemy have Ice weakness, it doesn't matter which other element the boss resists to, because the team is called Mono Ice for a reason, right? Also, a good portion of the team damage is from Miyabi's motion value, which scale with crit, so it does not affect it by the whole anomaly things at all. And for Alice team, either with Jane Doe or Vivian, the majority of the team damage comes from Alice being able to proc Assault and Polarity Assault, yeah. And finally, for the Angel team, the majority of the team damage comes from Arya, a bloom damage, from her bounce attack. That's why I think they made the wind anomaly to kind of replace disorder when, especially when they want to design like future anomaly characters. Also, one more thing that I noticed is that in the wind anomaly description, they mentioned direct anomaly damage multiple times. However, I have never seen this term being mentioned in the game before. I think this term refers exclusively to things like assault damage or shatter damage, and not things like a bloom or polarity disorder or polarity assault, like I mentioned earlier. I think that's why Pomia does extra damage when she proc a bloom to compensate for the fact that her a bloom is not being buffed by the wind debuff. So yeah, that's kind of my first impression of the wind element. Let me know what you think.